And that's the type of conversation I like, because I forgot that we were recording this. So that's what I like. I don't really do interview that much. So,
I know, I heard. I'm excited about that, though. That's a good thing for me. For starters, I mean, you're king of booking agents is what I'm reading and seeing and hearing about you. I mean, you've worked with, I mean, right now working with Mike Tyson, you worked with some of the biggest names. There's a roster of names that, you know, we can go down.
Correct.
Even recently, seeing you work with Eminem and Dre, and seeing you side by side with them, and you know, it's amazing to see how you've worked in the industry and all that you've accomplished. And I'm doing this segment of this, I'm doing this little show because I really feel that right now with the industry, I feel like we're all into how we're going to get famous, or what's the next big break, or the money behind it, or the glitz and the glamour. And we forget that it's the love of something that takes us there, right? We forget that it starts with a love for a specific thing that takes you and that drives you and motivates you and wakes you up every day. So I want to start off with that. You know, I want to start off, where did it begin for you? Because being an agent and working with different people, you have to have, you know, where was the love for that? You have to be that people person. You have to be that person that understands. Where does that all begin?
Well, the love for the music industry came like a very early stage in my life. I always loved music. So far I remember, but the way I kind of entered this industry is a little bit unconventional. Like, you know, like I'm from Congo, originally from Congo. I was born in France. You know, I was
Beautiful
born in
accent.
Thank you. I was born in France, but I'm originally from Congo in Central Africa. I left France when I was 9 years old. I went back to Congo with my mom, but out there, like they had, like, you know, in '96, the war started. Like the war started in Congo, and I was in the war like for at least like 8 months before my mom sent me back to France.
Wow.
But long story short, I always, like, I live by myself since I'm 14 years old.
Wow.
So it's a curse and a blessing at the same time. It's a curse, I would say, because, like, you know, you like you know, the family type of environment and all that kind of stuff. But it's a blessing because I had to do things on my own, like, you know. So I was never scared of, like, always, like, you know, go and get it, like, you know, at a very early stage in my life, and by any means, you know, like I had to you know, I had to try to basically make sure that I was okay, you know, by myself. So, and fast forward at the age of 19, like, so I put myself like in a business school, and at the end of you know, a business school, they ask you to do an internship. And so all my friend at the time was doing internship in France, like either at the bank or either like being in a marketing department of such and such corporation, all that kind of stuff. And I really didn't want to do that. Like, it was like so boring to me. And then I always loved music. And to be honest with you, like the way I learned English is I learned English translating Michael Jackson's song. Michael Jackson is
Oh
like,
my God, it's my favorite.
I learned English translating like the Off the Wall album. Like, Off the Wall is one of my favorite. I put him in the highest standard that even Thriller, like, you know, because it's like, it's dear to me, like Off the Wall, the Michael Jackson first album. But anyway, so that's how I learned to speak English, basically. So at the age of 19, going to my 20 years old, like I started to, I was looking for an internship, and me wanting to work in music industry, I just shoot for the stars, like, you know. I was like, I sent an email, I think, in HR department at Universal Music in LA, you know, so never got any response, you know, like, and then I called them. There was a number, so I called them, and back then, like, you know, calling international was so expensive, so I was like, oh my God. But anyway, so I had this girl. she was like the head of HR department in Universal. So I spoke to her like, the first time, and she explained to me that now, like, so we're not looking for an intern, and especially not for intern from France and everything. Like, there's no French foreign interns like in company and everything. So I was like, damn, like, and I called her every week. I called her every week for
Wow.
at least like 3 months, like for at least like 2 or 3 months. I called her every week, every week. I remember it was summer. And we started to create like this bond, like, it's like, oh man, this guy is crazy. He called me it was like, sometime when I was late, I was late, like I called her a day later. I was like, oh, I was expecting you call yesterday. But every time she was telling me no. But one day I was so persistent, and she was like, man, I like your anger. And I mean, like you're like, you're really hungry for that stuff. So said she sent me a fill, like a form to fill out and everything. So she was like, I don't guarantee anything. I'm gonna put your thing like, on the top of the list or whatever, blah blah. But if they take it, they take it. If not, like, you need to stop calling me, like, because at that point I couldn't do anything. So I was like, yo, thank you, whatever, blah blah. So I waited and waited, and then they sent me an email back, and they were like, yo, we considering, like, question everything.
Yeah.
And I called them back, and I was like, okay, so when do I start? They were like, what? No, you not start. Like, it's a meeting, like, it's an interview, like it's an interview. Like I never
You're
said like,
like, oh my God,
oh,
more waiting, right?
like, yeah, man. And then that was a funny thing, because I thought they would flew me. I'm just fast forward, but I thought they would flew me everything. But they were like, no, you take care of all your stuff. You do the interview. If you're taking, you're taking. Like, if not, like, you go back home. So I was like, all right. I took my backpack and I went to LA. I was like, damn, I'm going to Hollywood, because like back then, like, it was like internet. So the hotel that I booked, I remember, was very, very cheap. To me, Hollywood was like, like Hollywood. Like, I've never been to America, so Hollywood is
Of
like
course, it's like
the yeah, the Walk of Fame, like the movies and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, it wasn't that at all. And then when the cab, first of all, the cab took like probably one. It's so that I was new, so it took like at least $150, like like off the
oh
rip,
my
like So I was like, shit, like it's half of my budget going on the cab, like. But anyway, so when he dropped me to the hotel, I was like, "Are you sure that's here? Like, that's Hollywood. Like the picture that I've seen." They said, "Yeah, man, that's your hotel." So I was like, "Wow." So I stayed there, and I went to this meeting with Interscope, with Universal. I remember, like, it was she became a good friend of mine, Maricia, who kind of interviewed me with Kevin Black. Kevin Black was the head of promotion at that time in Endoscope Gift and A&M, because that's where I started working. So they both interviewed me, and then I went there like as a French guy, like with my resume and everything, my little thing, like whatever. They look at my thing and say, look, yo, we don't care about all this. And I remember I lied so much in my resume. I was like, they didn't even look at it. I was like, yo,
You're
I
like,
was so
what?
offended. I was
I
like,
worked
what?
on that.
No, I'm like, I didn't sleep, like, just to put like all this shit. So anyway, so they were like, we don't care about what you've done before, like your school stuff and everything. This guy say, I didn't even go to college, like I didn't go to high school. So what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? So I was confronted like straight up to the American way. So, and they really wanted to know why they should, like, hire me instead of somebody else, like, and then what I really knew about music. I've always been like a big student of, like, music in general. Like, the music that I've listened, you'll be surprised. I barely listen to rap music, because rap music, I work with some of, those rappers and everything, but that's not what I listen to. I'm old soul. Like I listen to like music from the 60s, the 70s. Like my favorite singer is Donny Hathaway. So uh,
Nice.
we spoke about Motown and all the kind of stuff, and I knew a bunch of stuff, so they were surprised. And after the meeting, I think went well, and at the end, I was like, yo, so when I start, they were like, yo, hold up, man. Like, still have like 20 people to interview. Like, you know what I mean?
Like,
It's like, yo, man. They didn't call me like on Wednesday. They didn't call me on Thursday. So I was like, fuck it. Like, yeah, it is what it is. So I think I'm going back to Europe. So when I went back to the hotel, the receptionist told me like, yo, somebody called you, like, and they told me to tell you to call back. And so it was Universal, and they told me, yo, like, you start on Monday or some shit like that. So I was like, yo, crazy.
oh my
Yeah. So
God.
after the internship, I was ready to go back to Europe, and they kind of loved me over there, and then they kept me for like until 2000. Like I stayed there like for 5 years. So
Wow.
I worked for Endoscope Giffen and A&M, doing domestic promotion and then international promotion for them. Like until 2008, when the big crisis hit America, that's when I went back to Europe. It was very crazy to me because coming from Europe, and I met all those people, off the rip. So I think the first tour that I done was Mary J, Pharrell, like as an intern. Like they put me like on tour with like Mary
Crazy.
J. Blige, and that was a great experience. It was a
And
great
I
experience.
know how you guys over there, you guys take the culture and you actually learn it and you actually study it. So for you guys, it's different when you're living the music. Over here, it's like we're brought up with it, so we're in it. But you guys are not in it, so it's something you adapt to and you take to. So when you come out here and you're
Yeah,
living that, it's something
exactly.
it's different for you guys. It's
It's
something
really,
like
yeah, you're right. You're right. It's really different, and that's the reason why they kind of like they accept me. And then actually Fred Frenchy is the nickname they gave me off the rip over there, because like there were no French people over there, so they didn't want French. They called me Frenchy. They didn't want to know my name or whatever. I was Frenchy, so it stick with me. Yeah, I stuck with that. There's people like it. I worked for 15 years. They don't even know my name. They just call me Frenchy. Like, that's who I am. So, but it's cool. I kind of accepted it. But you're right by saying that, like, we live in it, and that's the reason why they kind of decided to keep me there, because they've seen that, like, I kind of had to work like triple, because
right.
people were like over there. That's their culture, their music. But I had to really to know all the thing that I knew. That means that I really did my research. I really, because that wasn't my culture. I was like, I'm a French guy from Africa, and then I really had to go in depth and really, like, research and dig who was those people, and the record label, and all the mechanism of,
And
like,
that's the love for music right there. That's what
and
I'm
that's the love
talking
for
about,
music. Yeah,
That's that drive that takes us, and also that makes it a language. When people
yeah,
say, like, but I don't know English, but we're vibing to the same music. You could be in one room and
exactly. Yeah,
and
definitely. Yeah.
and it's that vibe, it's that whole idea of music being, learning. And it's going back to a culture too, a culture you learn, a culture you adapt to and you could take. It doesn't matter what race you are. If I'm raised in this hood where this is the majority of the culture, we take to each other's culture, you
Mm-hmm.
know so I love that. It truly shows the motivation and the love
Oh yeah,
behind, the whole
yeah.
music industry and who you are today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a long journey, but I uh, I really enjoyed every bit of it. It was a long journey. It was sometimes, don't get me wrong, it was ups and down. But I would say, like, the real thing in this industry is like integrity and consistency. Like, you need to be like consistent, and then you need to have integrity. And have value. And I think that's how I mean, I speak just for myself, but that's how I managed to keep my sanity in this industry, and to really be able to have, like, all the accolades, I would say, that I have, is because, like, I always been like stable in my behavior, and then I kind of have this discipline, like, since a very, like, for a while. I mean, there's some things that I always told myself I will never do in the industry, because I've seen what it does, like, to people.
That's
I've seen,
right.
like, and so I was like, no, that's not for me. And even though for other people it's kind of like weird because they, oh, Frenchy, no, he doesn't drink, he don't smoke, he don't do drugs, he don't. But that's who I am, and then people respect me for that now. Like,
That's
they
right.
know that, like, that's who I am, and the reason why, like, they kind of like, be around me so much is because they never seen me doing otherwise, you know. And that's I think that's how, to me, that's how I kept my sanity, like, discipline.
Truly amazing. I love it. I love it. I'm all about it. Okay, so before we get back into, the agent side of yourself,
Mhm.
I want to get into this alt ed. I'm a teacher myself for the Board of
Oh,
Education.
good, good, good.
So I'm a high school teacher. I deal with
Mhm.
9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. I'm a language teacher. So I
Oh,
deal
wow.
with the immigrants, and I teach them the
Oh, wow.
English language. I don't give it, I teach it. So so when I read that about you, I was like, wow, that's so interesting. And then something that I'm so into, I'm a teacher out here in Brooklyn. I do a lot of community work where I'm from. I had a really tight-knit family, but at the same time, the community, I feel, raised me. It was the salsa dancing in the local community, you know what I'm saying, in the community, in the community center that I was able to go to and stay out of the streets. It was the being a baton twirler that was within the community. It was being a Girl Scout. So all these community things, I saw how it helped me grow and grow with the type of morality and, like you were saying, a standard that you
Mhm.
want for yourself, and you don't want any less, regardless of what's around you and regardless of what you're dibbing and dabbing in. And being a teacher, I take to my minorities. I don't want to go teach in Beverly Hills. I want to teach right here in Brooklyn. I teach in East New York, Brooklyn, not
Nice.
one of the, let's say one of the worst neighborhoods. And to me, it's like, people are like, how you go in and out of that neighborhood every day? And I'm like, this is home for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you say that, I read that the All Ed is a school that, you're
Mhm.
giving specifically to minorities, you're giving to the Black
Yeah,
and the Latinos
yeah,
about the
yeah.
industry. So tell me a little bit about that. I love it.
Truly, besides music and above music, I'm someone who's really love to give back. Like, that's always been my thing. Like, and that's something. My love for my people is undeniable. Like, I have like a very, like, soft spot for
Me too.
the community. Like, so I always try to find a way to give back to the community, but, like, giving back to the community is not just going back, like, showing off, like, your jewelry, your money, and your cars and all that. It's I always wanted to do something a little bit more, like, substantial, like, something for of the substance. So I hate the word minority, because the minority are, if we see, like, for what it is, we people of color are the majority. Like,
That's right. That's right.
people of color are the majority. Like, you see in Africa, and, like, in South America, like, in Asia, like, we are the majority, and the other people are just like 10% of the world. And then that's why, like, this shift is a little bit, like, crazy to me, but that's the status quo, I guess. Like, and we
Yeah.
need to go, along with it. But I always wanted to give back to the community of color, like, and what we lacking outside of unity and all that is, like, education. The way I wanted to do it is because, especially for the Black community, because I'm talking about the Black community, because that's the people I've been around the most and everything. And for the Black community, we kind of, like, had this hard way to communicate with each other. Like, we don't know our history. Like, we don't know our history. We don't know, like, where we're from, and we kind of being, like, taking for granted, like, what we kind of, like, accepted what Western, like, civilization are taught us. Like,
Yep.
which is, like, totally, to me, it's a lie. Like, I'm trying to
That's
find
right.
another word.
Total,
Like,
no, there's
like,
no way to put it.
it's a bold lie. Like,
Straight up.
and there's to me, like, education first of all comes from like, knowing your history, first of all, and so I created like, a different branch of businesses that are divided, and Ed is one of this venture that I created to kind of give back to the community. It's like basically alternative education is a program that I'm creating online to supplement, like, the school curriculum, like, like the regular school curriculum. And so what we do with Ed is that, like, we're doing a system of master classes, things that they don't teach you at school, or they don't want you to to learn, like, uh, it comes from like history, but also how to pay your taxes, like the difference, like all the real estate
Yes.
thing, the game and all that kind of stuff, And what I do is that because I know the perception of like Black people and minority, they it's easier for them to kind of learn something from someone that they actually can relate to, like, I didn't take like your regular scholar. Like, what I do is that I take like people like, I don't know, Kevin Hart, for example, who talk about taxes because he went through bankruptcy, and he knows like, basically what it is to actually pay your taxes on time and all that kind of stuff. So he tell you a story about how he messed up, but he tell you, okay, now that's how you need to do it, and blah, 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 he breaking down like that. You got people like DJ Khaled who going to talk to you about like the difference between leasing and buying, like, all the kind of stuff. People of like Mike Tyson going to talk about like the cannabis business, like, you know what I mean? Like all the kind of stuff. Like, and that's the type of, because there's people who have like their master classes, but we need our master classes too.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean?
That's
Like
right.
like, like, and that's how I've seen it. And that's a program that like I'm it's almost ready now. Like, and I'm going to give it to different schools, like, minority schools and stuff like that. And parents will be able to have like a subscription as well to kind of supplement, like, their regular curriculum. And that's very beneficial for kids as well, because what I do with at Ed is that we taking back the narrative, like,
That's right.
we controlling the narrative. We're not letting other people tell our story no more. Like, we don't want to hear about like, Abraham Lincoln and all that kind of stuff. Like, we want to know about like, the real people who are impactful for our communities.
That's right.
There's real people who done things in communities that their story are totally like, forgotten. Like, and that's
Mm-hmm.
not right.
Yeah.
So that's the type of thing that I do. And then another venture that I have like with Outlet is called Blackbone Studio. And Blackbone Studio is like basically a company that of creators, like, and what we do is that we create like, content for the communities, like, of color. That's through this company that I'm gonna tell the story of Karl Kanai, for example. Karl Kanai, who was like
Amazing.
the originator of like streetwear, like,
That's right.
who is in legend and icon, like, and I see you wearing Tupac right here. Tupac was
Yeah.
his you know. So, tell story of Karkanai or Mensa Musa, who was like the first, a Black billionaire, like African Black billionaire, like,
And that's so important to me because me as a teacher, I always say, first of all, is again what you said is being relatable. The fact that the kids could come into the classroom and the person teaching them, that's what I'm saying. I stay in my neighborhood because I'm in the classroom and the kids are listening to me. They're like, how do you get 35 kids from the hood to listen to you? And it's being relatable. It's the same. They're seeing the same person they see when they go at home. I'm not talking differently. I'm not trying to have my English sound better than their English. When they come into the classroom, the first thing I'm talking about, I'm not telling them to take off their do-rag. Eventually, I have to because it's school protocol, but that's not the first thing I'm attacking them with.
Yeah.
We're stripping them of who they are when they come into the classroom. Meanwhile, this is the getup that they go out into the world, and this is what protects them.
Exactly.
So how are they? So when they come into the classroom and it's take off your do-rag, pick up your pens, sit up, sit straight. You're taking, that's already taken from the education. They can't learn if they can't be themselves.
Yeah.
You know, so you going back and saying all these, then taking back that narrative for me, it's like, it's so important because it brings that motivation in. You know, it's not
Of
only
course.
knowing, you know, behind the education, it's the motivation that I too can do that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. We're the generation who can do that. Like, you know, we are the generation like you and me who can actually do those type of things, you know. This racism thing is still relevant today. And that's
Right.
something that we need to be aware of. But we have like the ability to fight a different way now.
Yes.
Things that our parents and our grandparents didn't have, like, you know. And to me, the first things, especially for the Black community, will be to get organized and stay united. Like, it's important for all the community of colors, like, to stay united and fight this virus, which is like, either white supremacy of like or racism. 7 to 8% of the world like is controlling the rest. Like, that's just like, to me, it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, and when I see the Black diaspora, for example, and then the rich like continent, like Africa is the richest continent in the world. Like,
Seriously.
and I don't comprehend how we as a minority, as they say, or people of color cannot create like important like synergy with those countries, like important like collaboration, like coalition with those nations in Africa to kind of control back our resources, like any athletes or any singers or any entertainers today in America, if they take, let's say, 5% of their jewelry budget, like or car budget, and and decided to go invest like back in Africa, for example, to kind of control some of the stuff that we have over there. Well, like, we won't have any issues because we're selling this thing to China, to Europe, to Americans. Like, anyway, I would love to have like someone like a LeBron or a Didi or someone like this say, okay, hey, I'm taking like 3% of like what I wear like every day, like, and I'm going like, create a factory, everything over there. Like, let's say Nike, you take the shoes and everything. Let's Africa produce the laces, like, what I mean, for example.
Seriously.
Like,
Yes.
like,
Like,
so I'm
why
saying,
are we sleeping? Like, what's
you
happening
know,
here?
you know, actually right now creating another thing. It's called like the Black Economic Plan. Is basically Black and non-white entrepreneurs um, in America, because I'm kind of a bridge, right? I'm a bridge between like this civilization and Africa,
Definitely.
because and I spoke with Akon, who's a friend as well. But people have this misconception, like there's like more billionaire in Africa, Black billionaire in Africa than there are in America. Like,
Yes.
so like in America there's like 10 billionaires. Like in Africa there's like we can't even count them. And those people, they want to do business like with those Black Americans, like but they have this lack of communication. They have like misunderstanding. They think that they don't like them. American think that they're like whatever. So there's a gap, that and a bridge needs to be built like between those two civilizations to be able to create. To create and then to do business and then to have this financial and this money circulate among each other, because like we love to as a like people of a community, we love to spend money with other people.
Yep.
We're not gonna keep a dollar circulated in a community, but as soon as we get some money, we're gonna spend to with like Asian over there, Pakistani over there. Our money never stay in the community. and that's I mean, we can talk about it like
I mean, I'm so serious.
a long time, but it's like it's still like the stigma from slavery and also like colonization, you know.
And it's a mentality. It's
It's a
so true.
mentality.
And
It's
it's a
because
lack
like
of the going back to the education too.
yeah, exactly. You know, so they taught us how to compete with each other. To okay, no, don't do this. Like you need like if you're good, you're gonna sit down in our like at our tables and everything, whatever, blah blah. But by doing this, what minority needs to understand is that like it's time to want something else, like to like
That's
sitting at
right.
their table is not the highest thing that you could do. Building your own house and building your own table is the right thing, you know what I mean?
That's
And
right.
that and then what you'll be able to do that only if you organize and united, and that's what the community is lacking right now. And then I'm trying to kind of you know build that bridge between like the black people from the diaspora and African American. There's things that need to be done, like you know, and because at the end of the day, America, I still want to be like you know optimistic, but things needs to change for you
Definitely.
know like minorities in America.
It's even down to like within the school system, how we have our kids come in as immigrants who know no English, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they sit in these classes, they're prepping for these regents tests. We have students, let's be clear here, we have students who have been learning here since the first grade and do not pass the regents test.
Mm.
So how are kids from the Caribbean who never even taken a standardized test, because that's already psychological there. It's already a new form of, you know what I'm saying? Besides sitting and bubbling in a test, it's the bubbling. That's all that's all a skill. So that's all
Yeah.
culture shock at its finest. But they're supposed to pass those tests in order to get a diploma. It's a setup. It's a total setup. But
So
even
set
things
up like
like that.
yeah, we there's other alternative now, you know, and people like you and me, we need to make sure that we are like the bridges between those kids and the new opportunity that they
Yep.
can have, like you know, as you say, once again it goes like with like education, like you know education and try to give back and never give up on the community, like you know it's a hard work because there's some people within our community and within our circle who don't get it, and
Yep.
that's frustrating, you know what I mean? That's frustrating because you're fighting them for them, like you
Yes.
know, for them,
Yes.
like you know what I mean, like you like I'm like sometimes it's like very hard, but I can't give up, you know. I'm so in love with my community and with my brothers and sisters, you know, so that's a duty to me, like you know it's like that's something that I have to do. And uh, I will like you know it's really like you know get my I would say not to quote 50 Cent, but it's like to get like you know where I want to be or die trying, like you know
That's
that get
right.
like you know get my people where they need to be or die trying, you know. So uh that's yeah, that's to me is just like you know my way of life today.
That's a beautiful thing. I'm totally the same way. Like you know, I do this radio stuff, but at the end of the day, my heart is in the community and being a teacher in the schools. Cause that to me, that's my way in. You know,
Yeah,
being a teacher, and that's my way into the community. That's the ins to, you know, that's like borderline being a part of the politics, right? Like
yeah.
being a
I
teacher is a
totally,
little about the
yeah,
politics.
I totally commend people like you because we need more people like you, really, because
Thank
being
you.
like a teacher is like it's so like altruist, like you know altruist, like you know it's so unselfish because you kind of like you know sacrifice like you know yourself for the benefit of those kids, and that's just a beautiful thing, you know, because you what you see in them is like what other people won't never see, we like you know will never
Yes.
see, you know what I mean? And that's a beautiful thing. We need more people like that who really do the for the love of them kids, like for the love of like you know what they can become, like you know. And yeah, that's just beautiful, like
Yeah,
we
and
need more people like that.
every day is something new. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're seeing a
Yeah.
kid that cursed you out the whole week, and you're like, all right, let's see what we're gonna get today. And then they're your friend that one day. You're like, oh, how nice. I'm not a bitch as you called me yesterday. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's hard. That's hard, but you
Oh
know.
man, so hard. But I mean, everything you're about, I could see, I see why now. And
Yeah.
it's like, I try to live towards a certain thing. And my whole aspect on life is love. Because if you fight through love, if you work through love, if I
Yeah.
just feel like, and as cheesy as it sounds, I feel like this is what we lack right now. I feel like we lack being cheesy. We
But
lack, that
but
people
love,
could just,
but love is the hardest thing. It's like it's the most difficult thing. People who are loving like that are the most like I commend them to so much because this is harder to love than hate, you know? Like hate is so easy.
I know it's so,
Like
I
you
tell my
hate
students
something
that.
and dismiss things like hate things is like is coward thing. It's like but to love through like the bullshit is just like so hard like sometimes, and to keep love and this like a flame present in your heart is just like some crazy like it's some crazy type of thing. Like it's so hard, like and people like that is like that's what definitely what the world need, like yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
I try to tell my students that I'm like, if she's hating on you, how easy it is for her to hate on you. And they're like, Miss Moya. But it's true. It's like, come on, be bigger than that. Be bigger than that. Hey, dare to be.
yeah,
Why don't we dare to be that? Well, what we so afraid of?
yeah,
We're easy. We're driven by being fake more than we're driven about just flowing through love. It's a little
yeah.
scary. You know what I'm saying?
And that's to us like our community is like is really like it's a fear. Everything is based out of fear, like we're afraid to love, we're afraid to give, we're afraid of all that, like and once again it comes from like colonization and like slavery and all the kind of stuff,
Totally.
uh, because every time that you try to love, like some bullshit happened,
Hmm.
so now it's like everybody is like, yo, it's for me, like it's me, like because we scared like to kind of sharing it to get, but
To be
we need
hurt
to,
or to be
yeah,
rejected.
exactly,
Yeah.
to be rejected, to be heard, to kind of like taking like advantage of, like and that's everything that especially for our community love uh, hasn't been good to us, like
For
you know
real. It's true.
like
It's true. And
when
even and even when it's good, it hurts. You know
it
what I'm
hurts, yeah,
saying?
yeah. Like when you say like the indigenous, like Indians, like in America, they welcome like those pioneers, they welcome those what
Yes.
happened, like what I mean,
Yo.
that's
Oh
crazy,
my. And it's
like
so weird that you said that because this year, I was a little challenged. I'm an English and I usually do English but they had me do history this year. And I was
mhm,
like, oh my God. So I'm translating history to, my students who speak
mhm.
Spanish language. And when I was explaining that idea of Columbus coming in, some of the kids were like, but why didn't they fight back? Like what happened? I was like, it's the mentality of
Yeah,
them being so accepting, and they they
exactly.
they thrived off of love. They
Mhm.
thrived off of, treating each other. Each person they saw each other as gods. So when
Exactly.
those people came in and they were showing them new things, they were so
Exactly.
vulnerable. That
The-
idea of being so vulnerable. And they were like, oh my God, and I feel like a lot of us too, coming from the Caribbean, and we're very full of culture, and we really get it. Like when it comes to love, we get it. We
Mhm.
just have to be taught it in order to really truly show it. Because, our Black families, I feel like the way we hug, the way it's different from the white culture. I'm sorry.
Different,
You
and that's the
know,
thing. And that's the thing. Like with
it's
the
such a
reason why. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
And
a beautiful
it's a
thing.
beautiful thing. And the problem with like what's happening today is that like white supremacy, like they're scared because they know what they've done, right? And they're scared that if they let go of it, we might do the same thing they've done to us to them.
That's
But what
right.
they don't understand is that we don't have that in us. That's not
No,
us.
it's not.
That's not us.
All
Like
we want is a chance to live. What we want is a
exactly.
chance to have opportunity,
You see that all the thing
to
that like
thrive.
the thing that happened like is that we don't fight. Like I see that black people they look. It's gonna probably do like controversy. It's controversial, or whatever. But a black person, like a black person, black people, they're so quick to let's say like a deal going like go like goes wrong in the hood or whatever. They're so quick to take his gun and take another black man's life than going and then go after those people who hang like their brother from trees. We don't have that in us, like to go back and then to kill those guys
So
back. Like
true.
we don't have that in us.
So true.
So that's the thing. Like everything that like those white supremacists and then like everything that they've been doing is based out of fear too.
Yep.
Fear because they know us better than we know ourselves. Like they took us from like a
From
like white
everything.
people that the thing is crazy. What is crazy is because and everything goes in circle, right? White civilization was savages and we were kings and queens, like what I mean. So they went to our civilization. They saw how we were like living. They saw how in harmony, like the harmony, how like the tribe was like living in like in peace and harmony and all
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
With
It was like
nothing, with no
with
clothes, with
nothing,
nothing.
no clothes, no fucking, and they've seen that. They say like, yo, what the hell? What's going on here? Like, like, like they've been fighting all their life in Portugal, in Spain, France, in Netherlands, and all that, in Great Britain, in UK, like in England, and all that. They come to Africa, this rich big land, and they see people with no clothes on living in harmony, and they're like, yo.
Like,
So they
what?
know us. They know us better than we know ourselves. They've seen
That's
that
right.
like we very like. That's why they don't want us to go back to that, to be organized, to be thing, because we're gonna rule the world all over again, and they've seen that. So that's why their mission always been to do that, like to separate, to divide, to like that's been their mission forever. You know,
Yep.
and
So crazy.
that's crazy.
I love the conversation we just got into. Now I'm about to ask you about Mike Tyson. And I'm like, I don't Mike Tyson, like, is it, like I think we had something going over here. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
So
Mike.
getting into Mike Tyson and right now everything you're doing with the podcast and
Mhm.
I mean, I'm a fan of the podcast.
Yeah.
Down to my father, me and my father, we grew up like brother and sister. My father had me when he was 17. So,
Oh wow.
he's young and he's all into all of that. So when I told him today, he was like, what? Oh my
Yeah.
God, the
Brooklyn's
production
finest.
behind that show. And he got into all this. So please tell us about the love for Mike. Because I know you helped Mike. You met Mike at one of his roughest times in his life.
Yeah.
And I mean, you were probably the love that he needed. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
Fred?
I mean,
Talk to us
I would
about
say,
that.
yeah, I would say that. I mean, I hate the word like manager, like be like a manager or agent.
Yeah.
I'm not that to him. Like, even though we do great business together and everything, I'm not that to him. Like, I'm his brother. Like, my thing is that like a manager, but to me is like when you strictly have like, financial transaction, financial gain or anything. My thing is like with Mike, it's just I want him to be good, you know, regardless of money, if money is involved or not. Like, I just want him to be good. Like, uh, what I do for him is more like being like a part of his like healthy support system. It's hard because nobody can pretend to know what it is to be Mike Tyson. that's probably the hardest job ever to be Mike Tyson. Like, you know what I mean? It's the hardest thing, because that's someone who's, we talk about an icon, right? As we call it. It's probably one of the last like living legend, icon, like, in the sports world. He went through trial and tribulation. He's seen paradise and heaven. He's seen hell. He's in the middle now, and he want to stay there. That's where he's more comfortable. You know, being like 22, 23, and having like $400 million in your bank account,
Oh my
which is
God.
almost $1 billion today. Like at 23, like, and then lost it all. You know what I mean? So that's, you can relate. Like I'm talking about it, but I can't even.
Yeah, you can't even
I don't
fathom
know.
the
Like,
thought, right?
like, I don't know what it is. Like, So, um, so truly, I want to be like, and that's what I have. I am to him, is like being like more a brother than anything else. Like, the business side of it is like totally. It's something totally like, to me, it's secondary. Like, it's secondary, and we do great business together. But to me, it's like I want him to be like, healthy. I want him to be like to have like a good support system around him, and being with Mike is not just Mike. Me, I'm close and to his wife, his mother-in-law, like his like, his mother-in-law is like my mom, like his wife is my sister, like, his kids, like, Mike is really is a brother, and as you say, I met him in a very, very challenging time, and I think God put us, together for a reason, and then what happened after that was just a blessing, and I think that's Mike is someone who didn't, or who still don't trust people, and rightfully so, because he's being taken advantage so many times, and I had to gain that trust, which is normal. I had to, and now, like, he's seen that, like, my character, and see, and once again, it goes back of what I say in the introduction of of your show, is that, like, the way you conduct yourself is like, it's always integrity and consistency, like, and then I always been that way, and that's why, like, when you talk about me to other talent or whatever, they have nothing else to say, because me, first of all, I'm a very introvert. Like, I don't go out of my bubble that much, so that's why, like, doing your show actually is like something big for me. And even Mike, he asked me to go out more, to really go, and he always tried to put me on camera and stuff like that, and he always tried to, like, yo, show your face, like, tell people, like your stories, and tell, I know he really tried to do that to me. And I tried myself to kind of do the podcast myself, because he kind of pushed me. So, like, I know people, and I tried to have conversation with people, but I did, like, I don't know, like 5, 6 episodes, and I like interview like cool people, like, Carl Kanai. I
Yeah,
have
they
like
were good.
Carl Kanai, Cardinal Official. Like, I have like a Speed Star, like, who, like, Steve Lobel, and people from the industry, like, But I was like, damn, I don't feel comfortable in camera. I was like, it's cool. It's cool. It's just like having conversation with my homies, but the fact that this little thing right here looking at me, I'm like, shit. You know what I mean? But I might do it again, because I have like people, some of my friends who still want to talk to me, like, Teddy Riley. I might do Teddy Riley, like, next week, or like,
But your
running.
story is so awesome, and the way you speak about, the truth of life, and just the smarts of it all. Because I feel like, again, we lack people that have that standard. We lack the people that are scared, that truly say, yo, you have to believe in something. You have to meet yourself there at that point. You have to be responsible for what that is, and you have to consistently be this person. You have to
Yeah,
live
yeah,
your truth, and there's not many
yeah.
people.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And the reason why, like, sometimes that I think I'm not good for mainstream is because I want compromise. my truth. Like, if I have something to say, if I see something is not right, I'm just gonna say it, and I'm gonna show you that's not right, because to me, I ain't scared of no man, like, to be honest with you, like, so that's, if I've seen something is wrong, I'm gonna say it. And for the mainstream world is not really a way you should behave, because you have so many, like, affiliation, or so many things that, like, you need to be, like, you need to kind of, like, be careful of, like, being too vocal, or
Yeah.
speaking about this, or that, like, topics and stuff like that. I'm not like that, because what I've gained and what I've acquired, nobody else gave it to me. That's something that I had to go and get, like, so
That's right.
there's nobody who can tell you, no, don't say that, because if you say that, I'm gonna take that back to you. Like, whatever I have, I have. Like, I mean, that's mine. You
That's
can take
right.
it, you cannot take it, like, and so that's my yeah, that's kind of my thing. But yeah, Mike, to go back to Mike, is I met him 2009. It was a very funny, funny, it was a very odd, awkward situation, because at that time I was making, like, a lot of money. I went back to Europe, as I say. I stopped, like, working for Interscope, Universal, like, 2008. And then Jimmy Iovine was, like, the boss of, like, Interscope at that time, and Don Robinson, who's, like, the head of international. So they told me, basically, yo, we're gonna have a crisis, right? So we're gonna have to lay off, like, a bunch of people, but we like you, and then I want to give you the opportunity to do the transition, like, a little bit, like, the smart way. What we can do is that, like, we can get you somewhere, like, in a office, like, in France, like, and so you can work from there, like, from the universal office in France. So basically, that's what I went back to France, and I remember I went back to France, and I went to a Universal in France, in Paris. I had my first meeting with them, and I've seen, like, how disconnected they were. Like, I come from, and I wasn't bragging. It was just like, I came from, like, the true school. Like,
Yeah.
I went, like, with those guys who basically, like, it transpire, like, music and then knowledge and everything. And I went to Universal in the office in France, and I felt like in a hospital and stuff like that. Like, I was like, yo, what are you guys doing
Like,
here?
what's
Everything,
happening? Yeah.
everything he was telling me, it was so wrong, because the way they have no consideration for urban music, like, and they don't have consideration for it. And so that's where I was doing. And so even though I was about to make good salary and all that kind of stuff, I was like, fuck that. I can't do that, because, once again, integrity. I can have and prioritize, like, pop, folk, and rock and roll, and I know that, like, 50 Cent or Busta Rhymes sell more numbers than this guy, and I'm going to allocate more budget to this guy, because what? Like, no, I'm like, no, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to do that. So I called back Universal in America. I told them, like, I can't do that. They were like, yo, man, like, you being difficult. Like, how, like, like, people are looking for jobs, and you tell me that, I can't do that. Like, I was like, I can't do that. So I spoke to them, and I say, like, what I want to do is, like, touring. I say, like, I want to do touring. So I made my own independent company, a touring company, and that's how I start touring. And that's my secret. The reason why, and I don't say that, like, often, but I'm gonna tell you that. But the reason why I was able to be successful that very early when I started my touring company is because I had this affiliation with Universal Music in LA, who was basically the number one. Like, they had everybody. They had, like, 50, Snoop, Game, Pharrell, Mary J. Blige, Pussycat Dolls, and all that kind of stuff. So because I was, like, working with them before, like, what they've done is that they gave me slots, and, like, basically, let's say Pussycat Dolls has a worldwide tour, and that's why, like, ICM and William Morris and all, like, they hated me, because every time in their tour, I had, like, at least, like, 10 dates they couldn't touch. And the management was like, yo, don't touch it, that's Frenchy's day. They were like, who's this guy, Frenchy? Like, who's this guy? He's messing up my tours. Like, they're messing up my tours. He got like, they can have like a 30, 35 dates, but in the middle of nowhere, like they have 10 dates dedicated to Frenchy. Like, it was like, yo, this like, I hate this guy. Like, I had so many fights with like people like in William Morris, in ICM, but ultimately we became friends because the problem with those companies that like they don't understand the game. Like you cannot just be in your office and just doing touring.
You gotta be
Me, what I
filmed.
was doing, I was organizing those tours, but I wasn't on the ground with them. Like, you know,
That's
so I
right.
went, I've been like, you know, in the tour bus with Busters and everything, in the tour bus with Game. When they have issues in some area in the world, I'm here, I'm fixing it. So they're like, yo, I like this guy. Like, you know, I mean, we comfortable. We don't have any problem. Like, he's here, he's dealing with the promoters, he's dealing with like, you know, we fuck with him. Like, you know what I mean? So ICM, they book your tour, they send you like by yourself in the middle of like, you know, in Russia somewhere, and then you have issues, you have to deal with it. But me, I'm there, like, you know what I mean? So that's how I managed to create like long-lasting relationship with those people as well. So anyway, fast forward 2009, I was making a lot of money like doing my touring stuff. Back then, Jimmy Henchman, uh, who was games manager at that time and was Mike Tyson good friend as well. He because he was game manager, Game is a good friend of mine. Like I'm the first one who brought Game overseas and all that. So I have a very great relationship with him. Jimmy asked me, he called me one day and he was like, yo, listen, I have an issue. I have one of my client in Italy and he's in a little bit of like he has a little situation like a promoter was supposed to bring him like 25 grand or 30 grand, but the promoter just vanished. So my client is over there, no ticket to go back, no, like I keep paying everything out of my pocket, like like the hotels and everything, and he's mad. I was like, oh, okay. And he said, like, yeah, he's mad. He's breaking everything in the room. Like, he's breaking the TVs and stuff like that. I was like, oh. I was like,
You're like, wait a minute, who is he?
like, what? Like, okay, all right, cool. But what you want me to do? Like, yeah, I was like, like, what's going on? Like, yo. He was like, and Jimmy was like, okay, you need to help me. I know you have Europe on lock. Try to shake some things like to get him some money. I don't care even if it's 15,000, like 20,000, like whatever. Find him something. Like I was like, all right, okay, but who's this guy? Like you need to tell me who's that? Like who that is? Like like tell me he's crazy, he's breaking shit. It was like, yo, he didn't want to tell me. I was like, bro, you need to tell me because how you want me to find things that you're not telling me? It was like, all right, okay, man, like that's Mike Tyson. I was like, what? I said, bro, listen. I love you, man, but like, yo, if you think I'm gonna go to Italy with crazy Mike Tyson breaking shit, like, yo, I'm cool with that. I don't need that trouble. So I hang up and everything. He called me back the next day. He's like, bro, like, I really like, yo, this shit is hot. Like, I really need help. Like, like you don't
Like,
understand.
please.
Like, yo, like, if I called you, it's because I called everybody else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I called ICN, I couldn't find anything. Like, nobody could find anything for him. Like, I was like, and Mike Tyson, at that time, nobody wanted to touch Mike. I was like, fuck it. Yeah, okay, all right, cool. So, how much time, like, how long, I mean, how much time I have, like, say, bro, like, as soon as possible. Like, if you can do it, like, 48 hours, like, it would be great. I was like, oh, shit, all right, okay. And the good thing is that, like, once again, integrity and then consistency is like I have a great relationship with people over there, like in Italy and all that, like because I've done great business with some of them, like do arena shows, like I brought Lady Gaga there, like I brought so I had like different great relationship with those people. I called like 4 or 5 people, and then because it was me, they believed me because they was like, you sure Mike Tyson? I said, yes. Yeah, Mike Tyson is in Rome right now. You have no flight to pay. You have no hotel to pay. Like, just I need something. Like, And so I shake things, and I found things for Mike. And the great story for them is that like he was expecting like 30,000, but I found like 280 or 250, like I don't remember, 250K, like out the like out of nowhere, like we did I found Dancing with the Stars in Italy for him. I found like a bunch of different things like that.
Wow.
And then I called Jimmy like a couple of days later, and then I say, okay, here's I told you I sent you the deal and all the things on by email. Just I put you in contact with my people over there so they can make the wire and everything. So he was like, oh, thank you, thank you. And he checked the email. He called me back. He said, Frenchy, don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me. I said, what? He said, you got that much money? Bro, you see, don't lie to me, because if I tell this nigga this, like, yo, if it's not true, like, I said, bro, like
he's gonna beat me up.
Like, he said everything is there, bro. Like, I told you that's the contract. Like, you have like it's almost 300K. Like, he's like, yo, man, you don't know, like, you're saving my life, you're saving his life, you're saving, like, that's crazy, because it was just like a new beginning to it, like 300K, like
It was like
at
a
that
new
time for
chance,
him,
a new,
like for him, like it's like, yeah, that was like, and I think that's what kind of like, the reason why like that, and I did that like really like that, because, but the reason why Mike and his family kind of like, thought I was different is because like what I've done is that like when Jimmy asked me, okay, oh, I'm sending you your commission, and I was like, I said, no, I don't need commission. You told me like this guy's hurting, is that, and that like, is in a bad situation. I don't, yo, bro, I'm good. Like, I don't want no commission. Tell the champ is from me. Like, tell the champ is good. Like, I don't need nothing. And Jimmy was like, word, like, it's 30 grand, like whatever, blah, blah. I said, bro, it's cool. 30 grand is like one after show to me. Like, I do an after party with, I don't know, Usher. Like, after, like 30 grand. Like, leave me alone with that little money. At that time, that was, that's what I was saying at that time. That 30 grand, I take it today. But yeah. And so it was like, yo, it's cool. Like, he told that to Kiki, to Mike's wife and everything. And then to me, my job was done. I was like, yo, it's cool. And I was like, damn, that's something I can tell people now. Like, I work for, like, with Mike, like, I find Mike some shit, whatever, blah, blah. So it was cool. I was like, it was a good experience. I never met the guy, but I was like, shit, was cool. And so the thing was like, because I found all these things, but Mike had to stay another 2 weeks there to do all those engagement. Like, you have Dancing with the Stars and all the kind of stuff. So he had to stay there. Right? So we stayed there. So like 3-4 days later, Jimmy called me back. He said, bro, I said, what now? Like, bro, I don't have anything else like for you. I said, no, it's not that. He said, like, the Tyson want to meet you, man. Like, they really want to see you. Like, they're like, who's this guy? You like, this mysterious guy you find, like, who saved our lives. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
who is this guy?
Who is this guy? Like, And I was like, oh man, like, come on, like, I was like, man, I'm cool. I don't really. He was like, bro, don't be difficult. They just say that they want to meet you and everything. Like, they still need to be there like for a week. Like, try to get there, whatever. So I lived in Bordeaux. I was born in Bordeaux, so in south of France. So I was in Bordeaux, and then I took my flight to Rome, and I went to meet the guys, and I met Kiki first, like, Mike's wife first. And she hugged me and everything. So she said thank you and everything. She tried to give me some money. I was like, no, I'm good. Like I said, she was like so grateful. I love her. And I was like, yeah, okay, so I'm going back to my hotel. She's like, no. We took you. You have a room here. We booked your room here. Like, you with us. I was in Four Seasons. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? She said, all right, cool. So that's where I met Mike's mom. I mean, Mike's mother-in-law. Like, and Milan, which is Mike's daughter, which is my goddaughter. Like, she was like just like probably 5-6 months. So.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's why I have a very special bond with her, like, because that's the kid that I met first, and then I met her since she was like a little baby. But anyway, first day I don't meet Mike. Second day I don't meet him, and third day, someone knocking my door like boom, 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 like, It's like, what the fuck? It's like 3 a.m. or something like that. And I'm insomniac. I don't sleep, so I work at night. So 3 a.m. like someone knocking my door and everything. I open, it's Mike, like he has like he was in the tank top or whatever. And he said nothing. He entered, he just come in the room and said nothing and sit down. I was like, yo, what the fuck was going on? Like, I was like, okay, I'm trying to do some shit. I was in my computer and stuff. I was like so awkward. Like, and this guy's like, he just sit down. He look at the outside. He opened my window and then he look outside and everything. He sit down. I was like, yo, this is what the fuck? I was like, what's going on here? Anyway, so, and then after like 20, 25 minutes, he break the ice and say, so you're from Congo and everything. So we start talking. He start talking to me. And the crazy thing with Mike is that like Mike is probably the most intelligent client that the intelligent person that I work with.
Wow.
He's the smartest dude like ever to me, like the people that I've been around like of the entertainment. And he started to talk to me about like things that I didn't even know about my country, like about Congo, like history stuff.
Wow.
Like that, like about Patrice Lumumba and then all the kind of thing. And then I was like, yo, I was like, straight up, I had like a different, like, vision of this guy, perception of this guy. So while he was talking, and I say it was so deep and all that kind of stuff, I was very interested, and I was like, damn. And then we clicked straight up, like, you know what I mean? We clicked, and then it was like, yo, you need to stay with us and everything, whatever, blah, blah. I was like, okay, yeah. I stayed with them like until the day they left to go back to Vegas. And at that time, he was living in Vegas. So, and then to me, it was like, yo, that was just beautiful, like a beautiful experience. And I think a month later, Jimmy went to jail. He got life sentences and stuff. Like, so he went to jail. And I had like an email from people on his team, and they're telling me like, yo, they really want you to take care of Mike and all that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, no problem. Like, I mean, I like the champ and everything. And then, but his wife like really told, like, I came close. I was very close I'm very close to his wife. And then I started to find deals for Mike. And then I know at that time he had like a lot of taxes to pay and all that kind of stuff. So I told him like, yo, I'm not taking any commission until you fix all your shit. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want no commission. So I found like a bunch of different deals, $1 million worth of deals and stuff like that. So he went back up, and then like, we adjust things. But that's how basically the trust, like, was built between his family and myself. And now, like, either like, I'm producing the podcast. I have like different venture with him. I create like a Mike Tyson Academy, which is a franchise of fitness center and boxing academy that we're selling all around the world. We're gonna start, like, we're gonna launch soon, all that kind of stuff. Before all that, like, my thing, as I say, is that like I want my brother to be good. I just want him to be good. Is like the bond that we have and I have with him, and he saw it, is that me. Once again, it's like how you conduct yourself for the people. Because Mike, of course, he has like all the other people that he had before. Well, they weren't there like for a reason. Was like basically take advantage of him. And then Mike is a generous person. Like he's a very generous, and he doesn't know how to say no to his people. Like to this day, he's the only celebrity of this status that I know who goes visit his people in jail, in prison.
Wow.
Like every month, every 2 months, he go back to New York, and he got friends like from the 70s and 80s. Was his friend who have like double, triple life sentences, and might go there like every month, like every 2 months, visit them, like, so, and like the process to go. The process to go to Rikers Island, the process to go like, it's like nothing. Like,
seriously.
What I mean? You know what I mean? And Mike go there like every 2 months. Like, he's there like to visit his friends. Like, and then that's the type of person that he is. Like, he's a loyal to the core. So I'm trying to be the same way, like, to him, like, and
That's so
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, like,
And that's a true, like, it's a brotherhood, and it's a true, story that, for me to hear that, I mean, I grew up watching Mike Tyson. My father was, when I tell you, obsessed. He was just calling me during the interview. I'm like, oh my God, he wants to hear about it already. He's been calling me.
Right, shit. Let me know his name. I'm gonna tell Mike to send him something like a signed thing, a signed
Oh
ball.
my God, I definitely will. Oh my God, I so appreciate that. He's gonna go crazy. So, seeing the champ, you know what I'm saying, and hearing this story and hearing you saying his loyalty, and you just hear again the love behind somebody that some people could just see as like a beast, or like because he was so, I mean,
He's the most misunderstood person in the world, I
yes,
guess.
yes,
He's the most misunderstood person. Like, people can, and as I say in the beginning, you cannot comprehend and process what it is to be Mike Tyson, what you have in your mind. Like, Mike Tyson's mom was a sex worker, you know what I mean? Like, his dad, like, he doesn't know who truly his dad was. They told his dad was somebody, but he told me like his dad was a pimp. But my mom told him it was a taxi driver or some shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? So he has all this trauma, like,
that's
and,
right.
it's to basically, from where he come from and becoming like who he is today, is that like you need to be touched by God. Like, I mean, that's nothing else. Like, to me, like, you know what I mean? You need
That's
to be
right.
touched. Like, you have like some different type of intervention.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
there's no way you can could predict that this kid who was like been in jail like at least 30 times when he was 12 years old, like, who became Mike Tyson, coming from Brownsville, like,
My name is Mike Tyson. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm representing Brownsville.
Wow, what a
you
beautiful
know,
story.
uh,
Wow, you better start doing interviews,
oh
Fred,
man,
because
I don't
this is
know.
ridiculous. I mean, you have all these stories. This is not fair to people. Like, what are you doing? They need to hear this.
No, man. I mean, maybe when I be a little bit more comfortable, and that's the type of conversation I like, because I forgot that we were recording this. So that's what I like. You know what I mean? Because like when I'm comfortable, and I'm an energy type of person. Like,
Yeah.
I vibe like with like energy. And then I've seen that you interview homegirl Lyric, like, she's from New York too.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's really cool people. And like, yeah, I was telling her as well, like, I vibe with people like based on, and if your energy is off, I can mess with you. Like, it's to me, it's like I'm so used to be with myself, and so introvert, and then like the most beautiful conversation that I have is with myself. Like,
Oh.
like, you know what I mean? Like, I swear, like,
What in the conceited is going on here?
yeah, like the most beautiful conversation that I have, like, are like with myself. Like, you know what I
Nah,
mean?
but
Like,
that's a beautiful thing, because when you know self, there's no other more
yeah,
power than to know self and to be able to spread that self. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it's
that's
time to spread the self, okay? You had the
yeah,
conversations with yourself.
yeah. I know. I need to do that, because like people think, yeah, Frenchy is crazy. He doesn't. How you in entertainment? You don't like clubbing. You don't like clubs. Like, I never go to club unless I have a bag to collect or something. Like, if I have an artist who there, like, I don't go to club. I don't like. I don't do this. I don't do that. Like, even Mike is like, you. I tell Mike, like, yo, bro, like, nothing is good for me after midnight. Like, I stay home. Like, after midnight, like, if you want to, and I'm probably the most predictable person. If you want to
But
do
with the
some
best story, I bet you. Because of that, I'm sure and you remember all your stories, because you don't do all that other side stuff.
exactly,
Anybody else would be like, well, I don't remember. I remember in
yeah, like the little things, like, yeah,
the day me and Mike met,
yeah, exactly, like, yeah, that's the thing, yeah, 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 yeah. But it's just like I just say, knowing self is it's a good thing. I know that I could make like, a little bit more like, efforts like to kind of like, share like a little bit of myself more. Uh, but yeah, like as I say, knowing and I keep like learning things about myself that like I didn't know like two years ago, like and now like I meditate, for example, more, like you know what I mean. So like I do things that I wasn't familiar with, and then it's a great thing to kind of like be in this yeah, in this space, like
Yeah.
of learning and knowing yourself. And to be honest with you, like right now, my priority is to kind of give back to the community and to the world, because like at the end of the day, we don't know nothing in this world. The only thing that we sure about is that we're gonna go
That's right.
one day.
That's
So
right.
what's my legacy? Like what legacy I want to leave? Like that's I'm 37 now. Like you know what I mean, and I'm now is the type. That's the type of question now that like I have now. Like
Yep.
what type of legacy I want to leave. Like I wasn't asking myself this like 5 years ago. You know what I mean? But now like I'm like, yo, shit, this shit's going, and especially with this Corona thing and all that kind of stuff. It's like,
Oh
yo,
my
you see
God,
people
yes.
dropping every day. Like you're like, yo, man, like what I want to leave. Like what type of legacy I want to leave. And that's what to go back to Mike as well, I'm helping him living a very positive legacy, you know, yeah, what I want to leave for him, like for example, the gyms and the fitness center that we're building and the franchise that I'm doing for him. That's the type of thing that I want that people can see, okay, oh yeah, this guy like was doing something great, I mean, this guy Mike Tyson, like because inside of those franchise, inside of those facilities, I have like a museum of boxing and a museum of Mike Tyson as well. So
Wow.
I want to leave those type of things, like
And that's a
yeah,
beautiful thing. I was going to say, right now we're living in an era too that a lot of our legends, our whole, it's being ruined, we don't have,
yeah,
we don't have much to, hold on to.
all those legends and icons that we had in our community. That plan of white supremacy plan always has been to uh, destroy the legacy, because they don't want our generation have something positive to look up to. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Something positive to, like a blueprint of like, oh, look at this guy. He came from this. He achieved all this, and he stayed there, and that's his legacy. He died positive, like and that they can't do that, because that's the reason why they did that to the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, like that, when they had like Black people doing good for themselves and all that type of stuff. They want to destroy that, because like this is not the image that they want to portray, like to the Black community. And so that's why they have like this. Of course, there's some people who did bad thing and whatever, like that's true, but also there's a very conscious, like plan, like from white supremacy to destroy our icon. You can talk about like Michael Jackson, Prince, like even though R. Kelly did what he done, and which is disgusting, there was like a very like a will from the certain people to kind of
It really was.
Because nobody talk about Woody Allen, like nobody talk about like all the Roman Polanski and all the other people
Yep.
who've done like those crazy things, like what I mean.
And
But
even the documentary itself, I don't know, it just sounded so, there was verbiage that they used when they used like
yeah,
his hair feeling like Brillo. That sounds great. That doesn't sound normal. Like, whose hair, who in the, what, even an animal feels like Brillo? Brillo's are wires. Like, what are you guys talking about Brillo? Like, what do you? What are you
That's
saying?
crazy. That's crazy.
You know, so little things like that was said in the documentary. It was just like, regardless of, I feel for anybody who's been molested in their life,
Oh yeah, of
who
course,
has
of
said
course.
that the documentary was relatable in a way that they kind of made them feel that it was so real. But I'm like,
Yeah,
psychological stuff goes behind these documentaries when they're
yeah,
being
yeah,
created too.
of
So,
course. I mean, they know what they're doing because they're controlling, like, the narrative. Once again, they're
yeah,
controlling the narrative, they're controlling the media, they're controlling how they want to portray certain things. And then there have been this will of like destroying our icons. That's what they've been doing. And Mike is one of those true living legend, and that's the reason why I want to make sure while he's alive to kind of keep building something positive, because they're gonna say what they're gonna say about him, all the
regardless, yep.
different things, like uh, it's allegation and all that kind of stuff, like all this type of things that gonna come back. But what I want to leave is something so positive that like there's positive way more than like the negative, and that's always like legacy. That's what legacy is about, like and yeah, that's what I want to leave for for my brother.
Oh my God. Yo, Fred, I mean, I have almost took up your whole morning.
Okay, I don't like, as I told you, I stay home. Like I stay home all day, so
I told, I
I don't
told
do
Laura,
nothing.
I was like, it's funny you said that, energy is everything. Cause I was like, oh my God, this interview's at 9:30 a.m. This is either gonna make or break his day, bro. Like this is good. So I'm so happy it went well. I mean, it
Yeah,
was a true honor and a blessing. I
thank you.
thank you for this opportunity. I want to talk more with you about the school stuff that you're doing, because if
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
bring that curriculum, within over here into Brooklyn, into the schools over here,
Oh, definitely. We
could
don't talk.
definitely help you with that stuff. You
Oh,
know?
I talk about it.
Oh my God, you're a force, man. And I thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you, you work for everything that you're doing as well. And as I say, we need more people like you. Like those kids
Thank you.
definitely need you. That, and I see your energy, and I see how dedicated that you are. Like to positivity. And
Yes.
that's the greatest thing to do. Like
I mean, we had rough upbringings, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
we're still here. And
yeah,
I've always put God first. Growing up, people you believe in what you believe in, but me, it was definitely faith and God. And
yeah, of course.
I feel with love, faith, and God, I mean, I've gone through some of the hardest things, even
Mm.
with, my own child catching a heart condition, almost dying on me. There's just different things that
Wow.
I truly feel that I've seen the glory.
Of
And even in moments where I thought I was going to lose my child, the peace I felt in me, I said, nah, I have to carry this on, and do
yeah,
different things, because
yeah.
there's kids that could take to me, there's people that could take to me. So that's the way I live. And, I always push
And
forward
that's
with
how
that.
you need to give back, is to be that way. That's the only way.
Yep.
That's the only way. After, I think that's what God wants for, like, us to do. Like, it's just be good. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing. Like, it's just like, stop the bullshit. Like, just behave, man. Like,
He even locked us up at home, gave us a whole pandemic, and people still
hey,
don't want to be.
that's why I've been telling people. You guys be wilding. Like, you've been wilding like all those years and all the things. God
Yes.
took your time out. You got to reflect and on yourself and reflect on the world, then reflect on the fact, like all the things that you've been doing, how you've been treating the earth,
Seriously.
because that's true though.
I
That's true.
mean, I mean,
And to
people,
me,
I think, I'm sorry, what you were going to say? To you, what?
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I think that, to me, this is the end of the world we knew to something
Exactly.
new, and I feel like people think and actually, like, oh my God, the UFOs are going to come and they're going to zap us all dead. And I'm like, no, it's the end of something that's going to start something new. And we've seen it so many times in history.
History, exactly. That's what I've been telling people. Like, is that
Like,
like, why are you surprised? Like, of course, I wasn't predicted. Like, this shit wasn't predictable. You know what I mean? But like, that's not something that is not common. Like if you, first of all, if you believe and if you someone who kind of like, spiritual a little bit, you know that that thing happened.
Plagues came
You
and
never,
went
you never
all
heard, you
through the
never,
Bible.
yeah, you never heard about like Egypt. You never heard about like the Romans. You never heard
Yes.
like they being on top, and then what happened? Like, you know what I
No,
mean? Like,
and then the fact that it happened, because for me, being into religion, the fact that it happened during Easter, it was like, okay, this is kind of, this is.
yeah, I know, man. Like, there's so many signs, and then people want to dismiss them because we live in a society where those type of things are not important anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
Or
the problem, and that's the problem. Like they want to make you believe that like those things are, you need to dismiss them. It's not important. Like, your little cell phone and what you check on TV and everything
yep,
is the most important. It's just like, to me, is like diversion. Like, it's
yep,
like kind of like a deflection, and then uh, 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 they don't want you to focus on the reality. And what's funny to me is that everybody has like a theory of what's going on, but they don't know because it's not from here. There's something
yes,
that's not something that's not from here. Like, if this is like, what is like COVID-19? They give names and symbolisms and all that kind of stuff, but if God decides to stop it, He will stop it. But now, like,
that's
you know what I
right.
mean?
That's right. Oh my God.
That's the thing.
And so much, so much. Again, I thank you for your time.
You're welcome. You're
I
welcome.
wish
I
you the
love that
best of the
conversation.
best. And it was so awesome. Thanks again.
Yeah. No, thank you. Like, thank you. I think that now I'm gonna have to do my to interview you now in my podcast then. so,
Perfect.
so we can have like a part two.
That'll be perfect. There's so much left to talk about. I mean, we would have kept going all night.
Of course, of course. Yeah.
Again, thank you so much. And I'll hear from you real soon.
No problem. Thank you. And send me your dad's address and everything so I
I
can send.
definitely will. Oh my God. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.